guys, well, welcome to this week's video. We have everybody stuffed in the shop. We've got Termite, we've got the FJ back there in the back. Super B stays in here pretty much. It's raining, nasty day, and we've been knocking out the FJ. We've got the back half done. We're working on the front floors now. But Andrew and I were talking, we've been doing FJ content for a few weeks now. That's all that it's been, and we wanted to get Termite back in the loop of things, and we're not working on anything. It's doing fine. It's running good. We're just, like we've been saying, we're just daily driving it. But something Andrew and I have been talking about more, we mentioned this a few weeks ago, is when we were looking for a Grand Wagoneer, we knew that in the future it was going to get an engine swap. That was kind of something that was already agreed upon, that we're going to buy something, drive it for a few years, and we're going to upgrade it because we love the look of the old vehicle, the feel, all that stuff of the older vehicles. But we did want that modern, more dependable, more efficient, more powerful drivetrain so that we can travel long distances, go where we want to go. So we knew this was something that was coming. I wanted to do this on both of my trail dusters. I've wanted to do it on power wagons. But as we have traveled more in Termite, as we've done more trips, this was kind of at the bottom of the priority list, but every time we take a trip, it moves up a notch. It kind of becomes a little bit more of a priority, to where now we're at a point to where recently we've been talking and we were like, it's just time to do this. Let's go ahead and start getting things in motion to do this. So we've got the Colorado trip coming up this summer, the FSJ Invasion. That's what I couldn't think of the word. Out in Ouray, Colorado, and I may have said that word wrong. I'm from Mississippi, so that's what you get.
I can't ever say it right. Never say it
They'll
right.
make fun of us plenty when we get out there, I'm sure.
Ouray?
Y'all know where we're talking about.
Yeah.
Though.
O-U-R-A-Y.
We're more than likely going to be towing Termite out there. Not because I don't think it'll make it dependable-wise, but it would take us forever. So, let's say Arkansas, for example. Arkansas, according to maps, should take about 7 hours. We've done it in my truck in about 7 hours. Not a bad trip. You're there, you get up in the morning, you're there by lunch. But when we went to Termite, what did it take, like? 13 hours.
13
for us to get there. Because Termite likes to run right around 60 in the summer. You get to running above 60, and the temps just, I don't know where they'll top out. I'm too chicken to let it keep going. It may top out fine and not be crazy. We have went over the coolant system. We have done everything that we could possibly do. Now, in the wintertime, it's fine. I think it's just going to boil down to capacity. I'm not getting into that right now. Anyway, so long story short, around town, when we're at destinations, it's fine. But it's getting there. It's being able to run those long journey trips. Termite is pushing close to 200,000 miles. It does burn a little bit of oil. Who doesn't? Leaks a little bit of oil, not much. But really not. It's kind of hit or miss on the oil leak and stuff. But anyway.
We can't run on the interstate.
Yeah, traffic is just boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
So we just simply want to be able to hit the interstate, stay with traffic, comfortably, fuel efficient. I think it's pretty self-explanatory by this point why anybody does a modern engine swap. So I don't need to get into that with you guys. I think everybody knows. Now, so Termite's motor, again, it's doing fine. No issues other than the fact that on the highway we're just running out of gear transmission-wise. So the easiest thing to do would probably be just swap the transmission. Put an overdrive transmission into it, and all would somewhat be well. We can do that. If I could find an overdrive transmission for a good price laying around, I would definitely be tempted to do it. But at the end of the day, we're still dealing with a 33-year-old motor that is only putting out about 144 horsepower. It's old, it's kind of outdated, it's not that efficient. So, you know, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. The follow option would be something I've considered a lot, which would be find an overdrive transmission, rebuild this motor, put a mild cam in it, do a little head work, intake, power adders, get the power up. That's definitely a possibility, but parts for these things are very, very expensive. Intakes and stuff like that are crazy expensive. And 144 horsepower, I think it's 280 foot-pounds of torque. That's a deep hole to dig out of to get up to what modern-day engines are putting out. My question would be, and has been, can we get up there? Yeah. But what's our drivability going to look like? What's our dependability going to look like? What's our fuel efficiency going to look like? Because this is not a rock crawler. It's not a racing SUV truck. We don't race it. We're not towing crazy heavy stuff. We're just looking for dependability. It's a family camping vehicle. That's what this is. So, yeah, we could do that. And I'm sure there's a guy out there that's pumping 400 horsepower and he's getting 20 miles to the gallon and he's got the beautiful combo. I'd love to hear that combo. I would love to see your list. And I'm not being sarcastic. I would genuinely love that. So more than likely, though, this motor is going to get pulled out. Transmission, transfer case, everything's going to come out. It's going to get sitting into the corner because it is the numbers matching motor to the Wagoneer. I don't know if you guys have seen the prices of these things lately, but it's getting crazy. So just with what I know with these cars, if you got the numbers matching stuff, hold on to it. So here's our options. Now, you guys, if you've been around for a few months, you know I'm a Mopar guy. So I know most people are going to say LS swap. That's the easy go-to thing. I understand that. I do not hate anybody that has done LS swaps, okay? I'm just a Mopar guy. It is against my religion to do anything Chevrolet of my own. No, I'm just kidding. But if you're paying around and look in the shop, I'm a Mopar guy. Always have been, always will be, no matter what anybody says. So I know the LS swap is the cheapest thing. It's the easiest thing. I don't hate on anybody that has done that. If you've done that, that's awesome. Eric wants to do LS swap on the FJ. That's perfectly fine. I'm going to help him do that. I don't care. But from my own personal stuff, I'm familiar with the Chrysler engines. I like them. I just want to stay in that realm. And I know the GPAMC is not technically a Mopar. I know all of that. But that's just what I want to put in this thing. I know the diesel option is popular as well. I'm not a diesel guy. I'm not familiar with diesels. I know gas engines. So I'm trying to stick with what I know, what I'm familiar with. And I'll be honest, I'm almost 40 years old. I don't feel like learning other engine stuff.
Old dog, no new tricks.
I'm set in my ways. I know what I know. I like what I like. So anyway, here's our options. The first option, you could couple these two together. So you got the Chrysler 318 Magnum and 360 Magnum. You're going to find these in your late 90s, early 2000s Dodge Rams, Durangos, Dakotas, stuff like that. You'll find these engines in a four-wheel drive combo, even in Grand Cherokees. So the output on these for the 5.2, you got 230 horsepower, 295 torque. For the 360, 245 horsepower, 330 torque. So you can see with this one, we're already 100 horsepower over what this 360 is putting out. Not to mention the transmissions with these are way more highway friendly. So our desire is to find a vehicle, whatever it is, four-wheel drive, whether it's a Jeep, Durango, Dakota, Ram, whatever, be able to pull the entire setup. Engine, transmission, transfer case, the full combo, and be able just to stab it right into Termite. So this is definitely something that I'm looking at because I've owned a bunch of these. I've had a lot of these small blocks over the years. I'm very, very familiar with them. I know all the pros and cons of them. They're not powerhouses, but they will do everything that we need Termite to do. Now, the problem is because they don't make them anymore, finding one of these with relatively low miles, which the 100,000 mile mark is kind of where we want to be. I want to be a little bit less or right there at 100,000 miles. It's going to be probably hard to find one of these in that because it's been years since they've made them. But that don't mean that I'm not looking and that I'm not open to the idea of it. I know there was a guy on the FSJ, one of the FSJ Facebook pages, who recently put a 5.9 Magnum in his. I think he has a Golden Eagle, and it just looked like it was doing awesome. And when I saw his video, I was so pumped to see it because I love these motors, and I was really happy to see somebody doing that swap in there. So it looked like it was working really well for him. So definitely an option if we could find one. Follow that by what took the place of these two motors, and that's going to be your modern day 4.7. This is like a 2, I think it's like a 289, somewhere around in there, cubic inch wise. This comes in two versions. You got the HO and the regular. The HO is 265 horsepower, 330 torque. The regular version is 235 and 295 on your power output. So a 4.7 is definitely viable. They still, this engine is still considered, you know, relevant. It's still out there. I've never owned a 4.7. I've worked on them a bunch. I've installed them in a bunch of trucks and swaps and stuff like that, but I've never owned one. But so I don't know a whole lot of pros and cons about this motor. A lot of people don't like them. Some people say they're perfectly fine. I don't know. I know some buddies that have them in their trucks and they seem to be fine. But I would be open to this idea if we could find one again around that mark. If the price is right, the combo is right, definitely would not consider it. I definitely am considering these things. The good thing about these three combos here is, from what I can tell, they will literally drop right in. We wouldn't have to modify anything. They would pretty much get your mounts and all set up. They are all very, very similar in size to the original AMC that's in here. Our last option, which is probably the heaviest hitter of them all, is going to be a 5.7 Hemi swap. Now, the numbers on a Hemi vary depending on what year you get, what it come out of, all that kind of stuff. So they can begin around, I think it's 360, 365, and they go all the way up to, like my truck is a 09, and it's 390 horse and just north of 400 foot-pounds of torque. So for average, I just put 370 horse, 395 torque on this, but we know they can go down or up a little bit. That is far more than enough to do anything that we want to do in Termite. I see people putting 392s in these and Hellcats in these, and I may even be finna get in trouble for this. What are you doing?
Doing too much.
Why?
You're doing too much.
Have you ever driven one of these things? I've driven Hellcats. I've driven 392s. They're fast. They're fun. I want one like crazy. I don't know if I want one in one of these things. In a straight axle, leaf sprung, lifted. That's a lot, man. And I don't honestly think you would ever access 707 horsepower. I don't think you're ever going to access 480 horsepower or right there where 392s are putting out. I don't know if I'm ever going to access the 390 horsepower that the 5.7 is putting out. Now, with that being said, this is America. So if you put one in it and you're going to go do a mile-long burnout, I'm going to come watch you and I'm going to clap and I'm going to cheer and, you know, go for it. But for our application, that is massive overkill. And if I'm going to put a Hellcat or a 392 in anything, it's going to be something that I know I can actually access that power and get it out of it. But that's just my opinion. So anyway, I see people doing all the Hellcat stuff, and I'm just like, why? I don't know. It seems like a waste of a Hellcat and a Wagoneer to me. But that's my opinion. So.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah. Seinfeld. Not that there's anything wrong with it. But, so the 5.7 Hemi swap. Back to this. This is a very, very strong candidate. More likely what we are going to go with, unless one of these comes up for a good deal and low mileage. I have a 5.7 in my truck. It's got high performance lifters in it right now that are tapping. They're really high performance. They just got a lot of slack in them. My lifters are tapping. I'm burning oil. My truck has well over 200,000 miles on it, and the guy that had it before me did not really take good care of it, to say the least. So I'm going to be swapping that motor out here in the next month or so with a remanufactured engine. And we had considered keeping my 5.7, putting a little rebuild kit in it, and that being here. But we have to buy intake, coil packs, fuel rails, alternator, AC compressor, oil pan, valve cover gaskets, the whole nine. Because all that will have to swap over to my new motor. The easiest thing for do is turn that one in for the core, and us just find a Ram, Grand Cherokee, Durango, something, same as these, that is wrecked, that has a good motor, transmission, transfer case combo, that we can just stab into this. Now, the one area that I'm flexible in right now is transfer case. I don't have a problem with the original transfer cases that are in these. But, you know, that would be the one variable that could change one of these, that we would say, okay, we'd buy the engine and transmission, but not crazy about that transfer case, you know, whatever the case may be. That would be the one area that could possibly bring change. But Andrew and I have decided that we are actively now saving money for this. So we are shopping, but more so putting our money into this. This is our big next step for our Termite. So we're putting a little money up. My goal is to have this done by the end of the year. That's kind of my goal. Andrew just made a face behind the camera. So I'm not saying it'd be running and driving by the end of the year, but I want to be deep into this by the end of the year. So this is where we're looking. We not going to race it. We're not going to be towing heavy. We just want to be able to jump in it. And if we say, all right, we want to go out to Colorado, or we want to go to Utah, or we want to go up to South Dakota, or wherever, we're ready. Termite drives great. It rides good. It's comfortable. Obviously, it looks awesome. We love everything about it. We just want to be able to get places a little bit faster, because when you got 2 kids in the back seat, those trips can get real long. So this is what we're looking at. So we could build this motor, but for the cost of building this 360 to get us up close to these numbers, from what I've researched so far and looked at, the cost, it just seems like a no-brainer to go this way, because you get the dependability, you get fuel efficiency that I think that you would start to lose if you build this motor to try to get it up to here. The other pro to the 5.7 is that there is somewhat of an aftermarket support system for swapping these. I haven't found much for these. I think most of this would be pretty much custom on us to build to get it in there, which is very doable. But I think the 5.7 Hemi has a little bit more support. I know BJ sells like the engine mounts and all that kind of stuff to put them in. So already right there, you're just looking at ease, a little more support. And this is closer. This is pretty much the equivalent to the LS swap that everybody's doing as far as power and torque and efficiency and stuff like that. This is pretty much the Chrysler version of doing an LS swap. So everybody that I know that has done that has just raved about how awesome it is to see your speedometer just go, wow. You know what I mean? Versus that slow climb. It's way better now that we've re-geared it, but it's still not, you know. And I think also, from what I can understand, the gears that we have, the 354s, I think will match really, really well with modern day transmissions and with these powers.
Yeah, I don't want to do that again.
I don't think we'd have to change our gears or anything. I think all that stuff would sync really well.
You're doing that job on your own if we do that again.
Well, I got a lift now, so we don't have to lay on the floor and do this. But so anyway, guys, we'd love to hear from you. Opinions, experience, suggestions. This is kind of the options that we're looking at. Now, if you have the miracle combo to get this up here, I would love to hear it. And I'm not being sarcastic, because I'm all about original. But, you know, within relatively speaking. But this is kind of what we're looking at. So stay tuned. We're going to keep plugging away on the FJ, because I know springtime is coming. We want to go camping. I know Eric's wanting to go camping. And so we're trying to get that thing done, and we're making really good progress on it. So it's going to be continued moving forward. Termite is just continuing doing its thing. Andrew and I both have the camping itch, so we're really dying to get out and go camping and get on a trip. So hopefully soon you'll see us back in Termite going somewhere like that. But in the meantime, guys, we hit 1,000 subscribers, and we're super thankful for that. So appreciate all you guys that have liked us on social media, have subscribed here, who comment, who like. We really appreciate all of that.
Share. We've seen a few people share our videos. Yeah, man,
people share and link. Like, that's awesome when we're on another page and somebody has shared one of our videos. That's really awesome, man. That makes us like, wow, that's pretty cool. But now that we are big-time YouTubers, because we have 1,000 subscribers, we're going to do like everybody else, and we're going to go buy a brand new, very expensive vehicle and rig out and build about a $100,000 overland rig that is completely unobtainable to most people like us. We're really not.
We're not doing that.
We have kind of felt detached from a lot of the channels. I'll just be honest. I don't know if you guys feel this way. A lot of times I've watched the overland channels that I've been watching for years, and I don't know, man. I just feel detached from them now, because they're doing things now that I'm just like, that is just unattainable for people like us.
You can't afford that.
So anyway, we're going to keep it real with you guys on our level. I'm not saying that they're not, but on our level, we're going to just keep doing what we're doing. We like the old school stuff, so we're going to stay old school as much as possible.
Except for the motor.
Except for the motor. We're going to go new school on you on that. So anyway, guys, thank y'all for watching. Thank you for, again, everything that you guys have done to get us where we are. Let's keep it up, and we'll see you guys next week.
No, you cannot see your jogging pants. Can I put that in the bloopers?
I don't care what you do. Just tell me.
Woo! Jogging pants! Okay, I'm ready. It's gonna be hard to get good shots of it all crowded up in here. I know.
Take another loan out. Add on to the special.
I'm not taking a loan out to add on to this dead gum.
I could use about 30 more feet out.
I bet you could.